They have added policy development and implementation, finance and public administration, strategic management, security, law, sociology, governance, such that someone will not be told, you cannot be an inspector general because you have not done security. So this is quite a progressive bill, Honorable Speaker. This bill also ensures that the DIG, the case of the DIG, Honorable Speaker, has been not so clear. It has put not only the age limit, but also added that whatever befalls the IG also befalls the deputy IG, where they have put an age limit of 60 years and also included qualifications, such that you do not bring a person who may not be qualified, who we may not be proud of as they speak. Honorable Speaker, we are always happy when we see our IG, our DIG speaking in confidence in all languages, including English, good Kiswahili, and even good our native languages when they are called to do so. So this gives us an opportunity, Honorable Speaker, to ensure that we have highly qualified people who have served in service. I like the fact that this bill has also protected people who are working in the police service, that someone needs to not only have the qualifications, but must have served in the police service for more than 15 years. This gives encouragement to our young security officers, those who, it does not even give the lower limit, Honorable Speaker. That means that a young person who has done extremely well, who has the right qualifications, can also be a DIG or BIG in this country. Honorable Speaker, we have very good police officers in our constituencies, Honorable Speaker. I know that we have some bad elements, but majority of them serve in very difficult areas of Muda, areas of Ikuda, areas of Kanziku, where they even find themselves assisting with dealing with the matters that are not even within their line, social issues within the community. And as I stand here, I would like to take this opportunity to thank them for giving themselves to live in our rural areas, even others to live in Mandera, the farthest, ensuring that we are secure in this country. And I would also like to take this opportunity to thank the President for being bold and saying that we must have the housing project, which does not only benefit our schools, our KMTCs, where we have gotten a lot of benefit, generally our schools and our institutions, but also, yes, the President has said that this project must do institutional housing for our police officers so that they can have dignified lives, so that they stop living in uni huts. Honorable Speaker, I know the experience that you have in this house and outside this house. As you did a lot before you came to this house, you must have seen the uni huts where police officers used to live. And now, with the institutional housing, we have hope that our police officers will live well. So congratulations to the Honorable Okukawunya for the work that you did before you came to this house, for the work that you did in the 11th.
Madam Nyamai, just to underscore what you said, I went to the administration police lines in Garissa not too long ago. And I saw the room which my father, as a corporal, lived in. As a family of 4, we lived in one room, one small room that was left behind by the colonial government. It's a shame for our officers to still be housed in those, and seriously dilapidated right now, the same red bricks that they used to use for construction those olden days. So something has got to be done, and I'm talking about 1964. 1964 is what? 62 years since independence. We've not been able to improve the living quarters of our servicemen and women who are awake day and night to protect us. And we complain about them being corrupt without giving them all the basic tools, nice environment to live, good salary, serious covers, compensation when they die in the line of action. A lot needs to be done for our security apparatus in here before we start blaming them. Continue. I feel I have to talk like this because my dad, who is now 94 years old, was a corporal in 1964. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for filling me in. Clearly, you have much more experience than I do. And concerning this matter of housing, Honorable Speaker, that is where I was. And I would like to thank this government because we have hope that our police officers will not continue to share the UniHats, which are being shared by more than one family, and that we look forward to a time when the police officers will be happy with their enumeration, with the way their services are. We are happy. At least we have seen that there is a form of insurance, especially when the police officers are hurt in the course of duty, or even those who unfortunately lose their lives in the line of duty. We have some form of insurance. So I believe this is the way a country should take care of their police officers. We are not saying that they have everything they need. No, they need a lot more to be done. But as I support this bill by the Honorable Oko Kaunya, I would like to say that it is a good opportunity to say that a lot of work has been done in the police service, but we would like to see more. Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity.
The Honorable Amina Mnyazi, unaweza kuongea kutumia lugha ya kitaifa.
Asante sana Mheshimiwa Speaker.
Na kwa jambo la fahari.
Yes, tena la furaha sana Mheshimiwa Speaker. Leo Mheshimiwa Speaker, niko na furaha sana kuweza kuweka mchangisho wangu kuhusu huduma ya polisi ya taifa. Mheshimiwa Speaker, huu mswada wenye ambao uko hapa mbele yetu, jambo la kwanza nataka lieleweke ya kwamba naunga mkono huu mswada wenye ambao uko hapa, kwa sababu mswada huu saizi umeweza kuleta uwazi ya ile kazi, ya ile uzoefu, ya sifa ya mkaguzi mkuu, ambaye mkaguzi mkuu Mheshimiwa Speaker kwa Kiswahili ndio ni IG, pamoja na naibu mkaguzi mkuu ambao ni DIG wake. Mheshimiwa Speaker, vitu kama hivi ndivyo ambavyo sisi tunavihitaji ili kuweza kuendeleza Kenya yetu. Na kama vile wabunge wenzangu walivyoweza kuizungumza, hii mwenendo wenye ambao tunaanza kuweka saizi itatusaidia sisi Mheshimiwa Speaker. Kama vile katika amri kuu la jeshi mambo yanavyofanyika bila aina ya siasa yote kuweza kuingizwa pale katikati. Na pia sisi tunataka kuona ya kwamba hii huduma ya polisi ya taifa letu la Kenya iwe inaweza kufanya kazi bila hujuma ama bila mapendekezo yote kwa upande wa wanasiasa. Na mswada huu nimefurahika ya kwamba imeweza kuzungumza kuhusu hususan hawa watu wawili, na mimi naunga mkono kwa sababu katika hizi kazi mbili muhimu Mheshimiwa Speaker, ya mkaguzi mkuu pamoja na naibu wake, tunahitaji watu ambao wako na uzoefu wa kazi. Watu wenye ambao wamepanda katika hizi huduma za polisi kuanzia chini mpaka kuweza kufika juu, watu ambao wanaelewa kinaga ubaga kazi ya ofisi, department tofauti, kazi yake ni ipi na challenges zenye ambazo ziko hapo ni gani. Tunataka watu ambao wanaelewa na wako na uzoefu ya hii kazi. Ukumbuke Mheshimiwa Speaker, mkaguzi mkuu pamoja na naibu wake ni watu wenye ambao tunaangalia uzoefu wa kazi yao zaidi. Hatuangalii misuli ya mwili ama kama anaweza kukimbia ama anything. Sisi tunataka watu ambao wako na experience. Mtu mwenye ambaye akili yake iko na hekima, mtu mwenye ambaye anaweza kudirect vizuri ili hapa Kenya kuweze kuendelea kuwa na amani. Mheshimiwa Speaker, tunapokaa hapa leo kuzungumza kuhusu huu mswada ya huduma ya polisi katika taifa letu la Kenya, na mimi naunga huu mswada wa leo, lakini pia ni muhimu tuweze kuangalia wale mapolisi wadogo Mheshimiwa Speaker, kwa sababu sisi saizi tunazungumza kuhusu mkaguzi mkuu pamoja na naibu wake, na tayari najua kuna sheria zenye ambazo ziko, lakini shida yetu hapa Mheshimiwa Speaker ni kwamba kuna sheria wa kadha zenye ambazo hazifuatilizwi vizuri, na ndio maana maybe tunaona kuna makosa madogo ambayo yako hapa na pale. Mheshimiwa Speaker, jambo la kwanza lenye ambalo pia ningependa lipigwe msasa hususan kwa upande wa kikosi cha polisi ni kitu ambacho kinaitwa uhamisho ama transfer. Mheshimiwa Speaker, hili jambo lazima liangolewe vizuri zaidi. Ni vibaya sana kwa polisi kuweza kukaa katika kituo kimoja zaidi ya miaka 10, miaka 15. Mapolisi hao Mheshimiwa Speaker, mwisho wa siku wanaungana na wahalifu wa yale maeneo na wanashikana. Kama kuna msako wa mihadarati, wanawapatia information, kushikwa hawa watu ni matatizo. Kama kuna shida ya maoza wa vijana wa vipanga, wanawajua na kwenda kuwashika, inakuwa ni matatizo. So Mheshimiwa Spika, hizi sheria za uhamasisho ama transfer lazima pia nazo tuweze kuzitilia mkazo zaidi. Kama ni polisi amefika mahali katika kituo, tujue pia ile time limit ni atakaa pale kwa muda gani, ili baada ule muda aweze kuondoka kwenda kuserve kwingine katika taifa letu la Kenya. Mheshimiwa Spika, jambo la pili pia ambalo ningependa litiliwe msasa ni kuhusu kukuza ama tuseme promotion za kazi. Kama tunajua tuna different tuko na ninio tofauti, vikosi tofauti vya mapolisi. Lakini pia vile vile si haki kwa polisi mmoja kukaa katika kazi moja zaidi ya miaka 10, Mheshimiwa Spika. So pia hili lazima tuliweze kulekea msasa ya kwamba leo kama umeandikwa we ni constable, after certain baada ya muda kadhaa lazima nawe uweze kupandishwa cheo, Mheshimiwa Spika, ili hawa watu wetu na mapolisi wetu waweze kuendelea. Masuala ya training, masuala ya mafunzo, Mheshimiwa Spika, pia ni jambo muhimu kwa kikosi chetu cha mapolisi, ili kila baada ya muda, najua inaendelea, lakini napenda ya kwamba serikali iweze kuongeza nguvu zaidi, waweze kwenda kufanya hizi mafunzo na hizo training. Na la mwisho kabisa, Mheshimiwa Spika, ni kitu ambacho kinaitwa counseling kwa mapolisi wetu. Ningependelea pia ya kwamba tuweze kuweka counseling nzuri na madhubuti zaidi katika police station zetu, ili mapolisi wetu nao waweze kuzungumza yale mambo ambayo yanawasumbua akili ama yanawatatiza katika maisha yao. Nasema hivi kwa sababu, Mheshimiwa Spika, kuna mapolisi wenye ambao wanapitia shida, Mheshimiwa Spika. Kuna mapolisi wenye ambao wengine wamekuwa ni addict, ni walevi, kila siku wanakwenda kulewa, Mheshimiwa Spika. Na vitu vidogo vidogo kama hivyo, niko na imani ya kwamba watu wakikaa wakiongeleshwa, zile dhiki ambazo wako nazo za rohoni na za akilini tunaweza kuzitatua, Mheshimiwa Spika. So mimi leo niko hapa kuweza kuunga mkono mswada. Asanteni sana.
Mheshimiwa Karoli Omondi.
Thank you very much, Honorable Madam Speaker, for the opportunity to lend support to this bill. I don't think we could have found a more worthy member or more experienced member than the Honorable Oku Kaunya to introduce this particular bill and to work through it with the interested stakeholders. He's a man with extensive experience in the disciplined service, and I'm very glad to support his bill. Madam Speaker, the main thrust of this is that the retirement age of the Inspector General of Police will be 60 years old. I've read the report and also did some little research. In South Africa, India, and Nigeria, actually the heads of police service retire at the age of 60. But as somebody who also attended junior paramilitary training called the National Youth Service, I think at the age of 60, it may become increasingly difficult for members of the service to do something they call 5BX, which is a mandatory physical exercise every morning. And if you allow me, I could intermingle language a bit for purposes of demonstration as the standing orders allow. You know, in the service, they'll tell you, kidevu juu, kifua mbele, matako nyuma, miguu square. That may become increasingly difficult.
What is out of order, the Honorable Barasa?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I just wanted to inform the Honorable Karoli Omondi that the IG...
I need to ask the Honorable Karoli Omondi whether he would like to be informed.
No.
Okay, then in that case, Honorable Barasa, you'll get a chance. Now, unfortunately, the rules of the House say that if the person you want to inform doesn't want, then... So please proceed, Honorable Karoli Omondi.
Yeah, lately I'm under a lot of attack. That's why I did not allow my friend to inform me. I don't know where he's coming from. So, Madam Speaker, as I said, in the disciplined forces, physical fitness is one very important attribute. And disciplined services hierarchy is equally important. So I believe the age of 60 for purposes of retirement is adequate. However, I must insist on assurances that this will not apply retroactively, because at present we have a very capable and able Inspector General of Police, Mr. Douglas Kanja, and I hope that this will not apply retroactively to affect IG Douglas Kanja. In fact, as a House, I think we need to make that very clear, that there will be no retroactive application of the retirement age of 60. And we respect Honorable Douglas Kanja's contract of 4 years until he retires naturally, as was in the old order. Secondly, I would like to propose that the IG be a person who has risen through the ranks of the police service. If you look at the proposal on qualifications, we are opening it to anybody with 15 years experience in different fields. Yet when we go to the Deputy Inspector General, we are limiting it to those who have the experience within the service. I think for purposes of good order, we need to protect the service against people who may, for political reasons, find their way there and demotivate members of the service. We need to make an amendment here that whoever will be appointed IG should have had security experience, security sector experience, whether in the service, police service, or military, or somewhere else, so that the hierarchy of the disciplined service is maintained. I would also like to add that there was a proposal that the bill be amended, be redone further to offer protection to those in office from arbitrary political removal. I think we need to look into that and see how we can insulate police officers from arbitrary political action that may intimidate them and discourage them from upholding the rule of law. There is also a proposal under Section 11 that the Deputy Inspector General be appointed by the President on the recommendation of the Commission. I agree with that, but I think we should take it further and insist that that recommendation be based on competitive selection. That is what our Constitution requires. So if a person is being recommended for IG by the Commission, they must have held some interviews and opened up that particular position to competition. With those, I support, and I will be moving certain amendments. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable John Waluke, member for Sirisia.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for giving me a chance also to contribute on this Police Service Amendment Bill.
Honorable member for Sirisia, please take your seat. Honorable members, please allow me to give this opportunity to the Honorable Jackson Kosgei, our nominated member. I'll come to you, member for Sirisia.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Speaker. On this bill, on the National Police Service Amendment Bill 2025 by the Honorable Kaunya. Madam Speaker, I can read, as my colleagues have mentioned, about the appointment of the IG, that the priority should be given to the members of the police service, and for reasons that has been outlined before. So in this amendment, it should be very clear that we are giving by law the priority to the force itself, so that the 15 years mentioned gives priority to them. And the other thing is that this amendment will clarify the relationship between the IG and the National Police Service Commission to avoid some conflict that has been seen and taken them to court recently. Also, Madam Speaker, as we look at this amendment, I wish to appeal to Kenyans that police service are serving in the interest of every citizen. We need to be patriotic enough, respect them as the law enforcement agencies on behalf of the citizens and every one of us. When we see them by the road, when we meet them, when we interact with them, it is not an issue of us versus them, but they are serving the citizens of this country. Madam Speaker, we need to consider that in our budgeting processes in the country, we give police service the priority. It heartens to hear about police asking for private facilitators to give them vehicles or even fuel, and yet they are serving the interests of the country. It has been said the role of a police service in any country is to enforce the law. They are the ones mandated to enforce the law within the borders of a nation, with the interest of every citizen in mind. It is to prevent or deter crime. It is to provide emergency response to the people and provide support service for other institutions that serves the citizens of Kenya. Why should they not be a priority in our budget? So I'm appealing that this House strengthen in our budget, apportioning resources enough for our police service. And finally, Madam Speaker, is that we need to consider the welfare of those of our men and women in uniform in issues, matters welfare. We have some of them who have been injured in the course of duty. We would like that when the regulation shall be put, it has to come out very well that our men and women who have suffered some injuries in the course of duty or beyond their services, welfare will take care of our officers. With that, Madam Speaker, I support.
Thank you very much. The Honorable Member for Sirisia.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I want to thank Honorable Oko Kaunya for bringing this bill. It was long overdue, Honorable Speaker, because there are so many challenges in the police force. Honorable Speaker, I know Honorable Kaunya has been the first, and he worked well, and he knew when he was preparing this bill to bring it on the floor of the House. So from onset, Honorable Speaker, I want to support this bill. Honorable Speaker, there are a lot of challenges that are facing our police force. Some of them, Honorable Speaker, is about the welfare of the police force, or let me say the uniformed people, right from military, police, AP, prison, all of them have many challenges that we, government need to give it priority, because their work is important for this nation, Honorable Speaker, because without security, the country cannot be governed. Honorable Speaker, for example, the challenges of vehicles. Of late, Honorable Speaker, in many areas or counties or police stations, we've not been having vehicles in the station. And police, most of the time, these officers are using border motorbikes, which is also very dangerous to their lives. They are exposed to even their enemies. You know, Honorable Speaker, sometimes they also, when they arrest people, There are people who target them, and the government need to take it seriously and very fast to make sure that vehicles are available. Honorable Speaker, like in my constituency, Honorable Speaker, there is no vehicle. My constituency or sub-county doesn't have any vehicle, even one. I used to have 4 of them, but they were taken to areas that had problems like Lamu and also Mount Elgon. But these vehicles have not been brought back. So my officers, police officers, Honorable Speaker, are having so many problems in terms of police operations. And we are on the border, Honorable Speaker. Sometimes our neighbors come and steal animals in our sub-county. And now police officers cannot even move. So mobility for the police officers all over the country, Madam Speaker, should be checked. Honorable Speaker, on retirement, because this is transition of an officer who has been appointed for 5 years, like the IG. Honorable Speaker, to me, Madam Speaker, this person, after serving and reaches his age of retirement, the Honorable Speaker, he or she must leave, because we are trying to bring up our young people also who are on that line. When one leaves, the IG leaves, Madam Speaker, the positions that are going to be created is right from the IG down, tickling down to the corporal, the rank of a corporal. So in the middle, there's a chain of ranks that has been created. So, Madam Speaker, 60 years, you know, the research that was made that when you reach 60 years, initially it was 55, you are supposed to leave the service so that you go and rest, because they knew that after 55 or 60 years, I think your brain is also tired and you could not work very well. So, Madam Speaker, we cannot say that if someone was appointed maybe 2-3 years ago and he has, his age is over, Madam Speaker, this bill should immediately after we pass it, that person, if there's one who is holding a position with either 61 years or 62 years, Madam Speaker, to me, that person should leave the office, quit and leave for another officer to take over. So for those few remarks, Madam Speaker, I support the bill.
Thank you. The Honorable Irene Mayaka, nominated member.
Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika kwa hii fursa ili na mimi nichangie katika mjadala huu wa marekebisho ya mswada wa huduma ya polisi katika taifa la Kenya. Mheshimiwa Spika, kwanza kabisa nimshukuru Mheshimiwa Oku Kaunya kwa kuleta mswada huu, kwa sababu yeye kama mmoja wao ambaye alifanya kazi katika huduma ya usalama katika nchi hii na amechangia sana katika nafasi hiyo, tunamshukuru kwa sababu ameleta mswada ambao inasaidia sana. Mheshimiwa Spika, mswada huu kwanza kabisa inalenga kuhakikisha kwamba kazi ambayo Inspector General wa Police anafanya inakuwa na ile limit ya miaka, kana kwamba Mheshimiwa Spika, wale ambao wanafanya kazi katika utumishi wa umma pia ukifika miaka 60 unafaa kustaafu. Hii mswada inahakikisha ya kwamba hata pia katika ile nafasi ya polisi tumehakikisha ya kwamba hiyo pia inatekelezwa, ili watu wote ambao wanafanya kazi katika huduma ya polisi watu wote ambao wanafanya kazi katika utumishi wa umma waweze kuwa na nafasi sawa ya kuhakikisha kwamba mtu ambaye anafika miaka 60 anaweza kustaafu. Ya pili, Mheshimiwa Spika, katika marekebisho ambayo Mheshimiwa Oku Kaunywa ameleta ni ile marekebisho ya kusema ya kwamba ule ambaye anafanya kazi kama Deputy Inspector General pia anafanya kazi kwa muda wa miaka 5 mara moja peke yake. Hii pia Mheshimiwa Spika inasaidia sana kwa sababu katika ile nafasi ambayo tunaona ya watu ambao wanapanda cheo kwenda kuwa Inspector General ama mtu ambaye anafanya kazi kama msaidizi wa Inspector General apate kuwa na nafasi moja peke yake ya kufanya kazi hiyo na kuonyesha umaarufu wake ili wengine wapate hiyo nafasi. Mheshimiwa Spika, nataka kusema ya kwamba pia ingawaje ya kwamba tunataka kukuwa na marekebisho haya na tunayaunga mkono, pia nitake kusema ya kwamba wale ambao wanafanya kazi kama polisi katika nchi hii ya Kenya wanafanya kazi ambayo ni ya maana sana, na tunataka kuhakikisha ya kwamba wale ambao wako na nafasi ya uongozi katika huduma hiyo ya polisi wanahakikisha ya kwamba wako na kazi rahisi ya kufanya, wanapatiwa manyumba ambayo iko sawa, wanapatiwa nguo zile za sera ambazo wanavaa ambazo ziko safi, ziko sawa, na ya kwamba wanapofanya kazi hii na wanapotumikia wananchi wengine wa Kenya wakuwe ya kwamba akili zao pia ziko timamu wakati ambapo wanapata kitu ambacho inaitwa counseling. Kwa hivyo Mheshimiwa Spika, yangu tu ni kumshukuru Mheshimiwa Oku Kaunywa kwa kuleta marekebisho haya ili sisi kama bunge la kitaifa tuhakikishe kwamba tunaleta mjadala na marekebisho kwa mswada ambazo zinaweza kusaidia Wakenya wote. Kwa hayo machache naunga mkono. Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika.
The Honorable Didmas Barasa, also known as Titimas.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I want to be clear that I support this bill with serious amendments. As much as some members have alluded to the fact that when you are at the age of 60, that your brains are tired, I don't agree, Madam Speaker, because in this country, the judge of the High Court retires at the age of 70. The Chief Justice retired at the age of 70. And I want to bring to the attention of the House that the holder of the position of Inspector General, his duties are completely different from a police corporal or a police constable. This is a crime buster. He does administrative duties, and even if he's at the age of 70 or 65, he is not required to be doing those exercises that the Honorable Karoli Omondi was talking about. Even if he has a belly bigger than our former Minister for Interior, but his duty is to issue command. He can issue command while drinking tea or smoking his cigarette if he smokes, and he is exempted from those rigorous exercises. This is an individual who must have the experience in studying the crime patterns in our country and reviewing the police standing orders in order to ensure that we live in a country that has minimum crime, Madam Speaker. So I will be moving an amendment to increase the retirement age of an Inspector General of Police and his DIGs, including the Director of CID, Madam Speaker. These are people who should be retired at the age of 60. If we trust the brains of a judge of a high court, if we trust the brain of a chief justice of our country, that at the age of 60, they still have to benefit this country with the experience that they have in matters law, even an Inspector General of Police at the age of 60, at the age of 65. In fact, Madam Speaker, the more older the Inspector General, the more older the IG, the more intelligent they are in terms of using their experience that they have acquired in fighting crime in this country. And it makes them even be more fit to hold that position of the Inspector General. I also note that in this bill, Madam Speaker, and I'll be proposing to delete some sections because If we need to make it clear that for you to be an IG or a DIG, you must be from within the service. And when you are from within the service, the issues of Chapter 6 should not come into play because you're already serving in the service. If there is anybody who has contravened Chapter 6 of the Constitution, whether you are an OCPD, whether you are a county commander of police, they should be removed from the service so that by the time when the president is appointing an inspector general or a DIG from within the service, it means those people are already fit to serve in those positions of the service, Madam Speaker. And even when you talk of Chapter 6 takes care of if you have been convicted, you did not to repeat. Chapter 6 is broader. It covers all those kind of things, Madam Speaker. Nonetheless, I want to take this opportunity to thank the sponsor of this bill, Honorable Oku Kaunya, and Oku Kaunya served in the administration in this country, and he understands what requires to be done to improve the police service. But also, Madam Speaker, even as we seek to improve this bill, we must also try to make the office of the DIG, the office of the Inspector General, to be immune from political interference. We must also try to improve the conditions of the police service in the manner in which the police carry out their operations, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, this bill, I will be proposing more amendments to improve it further and to make it, to ensure that what should be considered within the rank and file of the police that one has to satisfy. We must look at their track record. We must go down to look at, even they were OCS, how did they execute their functions as officer commanding station? If they were police commanders, so that we put in place an inspector general who is going to use their experience to ensure that Kenya as a country, Kenyans operate in a crime-free areas, Madam Speaker. Without much ado, Honorable Speaker, I want to make it reiterate that I support this, this bill, only that the amendments, I will bring in amendments to improve it further so that we can exclude the Inspector General of Police and the DIGs and other senior command officers from retiring at the age of 60. They should borrow what happens in the military. In the military, a corporal who is required to be physically fit retires at the age of 45. At the age of 45, if you have not gone up to a sergeant, you automatically retire. Your services are no longer required. When you are a sergeant, you begin to handle some administrative duties, and a warrant officer, you retire at the age of 52. Warrant officers, 55. But senior military officers who are war planners, they retire at the age of 65 and 70. So we should not exclude the National Police Service from these provisions because the Constitution and the laws equalizes all Kenyans. So we can't be saying in one hand that, that a judge of the High Court is mentally stable at the age of 69. And then on the other hand, we are saying that a police officer is mentally unstable at the age of 60. Those are double standards which we don't want to. We want a country of equity and fairness where all people are given equal opportunities. Even the President, Honorable Speaker, if the President of the Republic of Kenya has no age limit, as long as you are elected, even if you are 100 years, you run the country. We must equalize because Kenya is not an animal farm where some animals are better than the other. Kenya is a land of equal opportunities, regardless of age, so we should work around that level, Madam Speaker. For all these many remarks, Honorable Speaker, I support, of course, with amendments.
Thank you. The Honorable Charles Ngusia, member for Mwingi West.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for this opportunity. And let me begin by congratulating and appreciating the good work my friend Kaunya has done since he came to Parliament. And I think we have been attending to Jim with this member, and I would like to request the people of his constituency to re-elect him again for the good work he has been doing in Parliament for those years he was sent by the people here. Madam Speaker, I'll begin by supporting this bill simply because of two issues. It is seeking to provide an age limit of Inspector General and his deputy. And secondly, it is going to address the issues of the capacity and ability to handle the demanding nature of this job, Madam Speaker. The AG and the deputy, what they go through on a daily basis. Madam Speaker, if you visit these offices and you see these people, they go through strenuous activities on a daily basis. Throughout the clock, the IG, the Deputy Inspector General is ever busy addressing the issues of security, the issues of fence, maintenance of the law in the country, maintenance of law and order, and all these duties demands serious person with capacity and health actually to address the issues, Madam Speaker. This bill is very important, and it is good we support it so that we ensure when somebody attains the age of 60, he is relieved from this physical and mental kind of demanding nature of the job, and maybe we can get a young and dynamic person to continue with the legacy of this. Madam Speaker, we will not in concern because I sit in CIOC committee. There are conflicting roles of Deputy Inspector General, and also the Police Service Commission. I think we need to separate their issues because there's been conflicting issues when it comes to issues of transfer, issues of promotion, issues of training, and more importantly, recruitment and retention of these officers. We need to separate them, and we make sure each and every person in these offices, which are already enshrined in our constitution, the mandates are well clearly and spelled. Madam Speaker, we need also to address the issues as the challenges facing our police. The endemic corruption, of course, it is as a result of poor pay, or maybe policemen are not totally or adequately compensated. But I would like to appreciate the government for what it has done so far in improving the salaries of the policemen. We also need to ensure we address the challenges of inadequate housing. Right now, we have got housing levy, which is really a game changer in this country, building so many buildings all over. And we would like to collaborate with policemen to ensure all the police stations, the conditions are improved. All the police stations, we have got adequate housing for our officers to ensure they live in dignity, Madam Speaker. There are so many issues we can address, but not to digress from this bill, I would like to support it and ensure it is properly implemented. And with those few remarks, I fully support. Congratulations, Honorable Kauna, and keep on doing the good job for the people of Teso. Asante sana.
Thank you, the Honorable Florence Jematia. I'm sorry we are not able to view. I know that you have been seated there since morning.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. I also want to join my colleagues in congratulating and supporting this bill entirely. And I want to also add to what members have said that Honorable Kaunya is deservedly a citizen who has served in this spectrum of security in Kenya. Madam Speaker, security is a paramount in every sphere of the society. And when we talk about amendments in this bill that gives a National Police Service Act, where we need to consider employment or appointment of an Inspector General, this is a very eminent clause or important in the Constitution, because a police person is a person of the society. It's a person who has endured through many ways, specifically in terms of security. When people go to sleep in the night, when people are expected to be in their safe places, the only person Kenyans sit pretty is when a policeman is in charge. And in this capacity, Madam Speaker, we considering the DIG position. This is a person that should be of sound mind, and I like the proposition that has been given in the bill, that he should be a very well-versed in terms of constitution, a well-literate person, someone who understands the dynamics of the society. We live in a society today that things change every day and every minute because of the narrowing of the world through social media and technology. And this one is a very a good component, because when we have a DIG who is able to understand matters criminal, management policies, strategic management, and all those kind of things, and even law, it will help the force, which is the National Police Force, to be able to be governed properly. Madam Speaker, I also noted here that as much as Honorable Kaunya is a member of parliament, he is dissuading that you cannot be qualified to be a DIG if you weren't served as a member of parliament or you are already serving as one. He has better reasons to that, but I think being a member of parliament is equally being like a police, Madam Speaker, because we do what every other person do. And if you look at it clearly, I don't mind if I was once a member of parliament and I am a DIG today, because I am able to understand the people and that I serve, because I had served them properly before. That is why they even gave me the opportunity to serve them, meaning they understand that I am able to do. Because one thing about politics is also the idiosyncrasy of the leader is what matters, the personality. As you know, we cannot be able to legislate morals. But many times we are always shortchanging ourselves when we call ourselves to such high disregards, and think that we are not able to do it because of the type of the jobs. And to that, probably I will ask the member to consider for a debate. The age is also a factor, Madam Speaker. By 60 years, it is quite reasonable for one to be employed to be 60 years and probably less. But sometimes people who are 60 years and above, honorable, is also able. These are people.
Do not last for 2 days. I have a case in 2 primary schools. That is Yaptagum Primary School, which has a population of around 700, with only 2 teachers because of the condition. I have since passed the same information to the Teacher Service Commission, requesting for them if they can at least do affirmative action so that the shortage of teachers can be addressed as we wait for the process from the office of the Foreign Affairs Minister. Honorable Speaker, I would like to understand where currently the position of this petition that I presented through this House and was considered through the Public Petitions Committee and was forwarded to the Ministry for consideration. Where is it currently? What is the current position for the same, so that at least the people of Chepalungu constituency can as well be considered as they go through the adverse weather conditions, as like other constituencies. Thank you all.
Karolo Mondi.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I'll be very brief. Let me begin by acknowledging the very extensive work that has been done in this matter. In fact, the criteria is quite elaborate, and I'm very pleased with it, to say the least. However, I was just wondering whether we could include as part of the criteria 2 other parameters using certain indicators, such as prevalence of diseases. I mean, there are some areas, you'll know where poverty is prevalent if you take a multidimensional poverty, if you use multidimensional poverty indicators, one of which is prevalence of certain diseases. I see there's something distance to hospital facilities and the rest. but I think we needed to have more information, or if we use poverty and disease prevalence as an indicator or as part of the criteria, I think it would be enriched. But otherwise, it is very extensive. And a quick look at it, I'm very convinced the two Suba North and South will qualify. As of today, we only have Suba, which is Suba North, where we have Mfangano Island and Rusinga Islands. There are other islands, as Honorable Ochanda said. We have Kiwa Island, Remba Island, and Kibwogi Island, which should also qualify. And finally, if you look at the criteria for Machakos, Nyeri, Kiambu, Ndeya, Karai locations, Nyandarua, again, that criteria, I think, would help us get more areas. Otherwise, Honorable Speaker, I really support this, and I think it will go a long way in harmonizing this classification of hardship areas. Thank you very much.
Member for Malindi.
Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika. Mheshimiwa Waziri, niko hapa leo na swali langu ni kuhusu wale watalii wenye ambao wanaweza kutembelea nchi yetu nzuri ya Kenya, na sisi tunakaribisha wageni, lakini shida ni kwamba Mheshimiwa Spika na Waziri, si kila mgeni anayefika hapa Kenya amekuja hapa kwa matumaini ya kuweza kufanya utalii hapa ndani ya Kenya. Mheshimiwa Spika, niko na watalii kadhaa wa kadhaa ndani ya constituency yangu ya Malindi ambao tumewapokea kwa unyenyekevu na kwa mapenzi yote, na wanapofika kule Mheshimiwa Spika, wanawalawiti watoto wetu. Mheshimiwa Spika, niko na kesi Mheshimiwa Spika ya kijana mmoja ambaye anaitwa Michael Valentine, mwenye ambaye ni raia wa South Africa, na huyu mwanamume ama huyu kijana Mheshimiwa Spika amekuwa na kesi za kulawiti watoto katika baina miaka 3 mpaka miaka 9. Alishikwa katika hicho kitendo Mheshimiwa Spika, mapolisi wakaweza kuarifiwa Mheshimiwa Spika, na kwa bahati mbaya huyu jamaa Mheshimiwa Spika aliweza kukimbia na akapotea mpaka leo. Mheshimiwa Spika, ninaposimama hapa niko na kilio cha wale watoto wenye ambao wameharibiwa maisha yao. Mtoto wa miaka 3, mtoto wa miaka 5, mtoto wa miaka 7 ama 8 anaingizwa ndani ya gari, na Mheshimiwa Spika, siwezi hata kueleza yale mambo ambayo hawa watoto wanafanyiwa na wale watalii wenye ambao wanakuja kuzuru Kenya yetu. Mheshimiwa Spika, ni masikitiko makubwa sana. Tangu 2024, 2025 mpaka dakika hii Mheshimiwa Waziri, wale watoto hawajaweza kupata ile haki yao. So mimi swali langu Mheshimiwa Spika ni kwamba huyu mwanamume mwenye ambaye anajulikaniwa na details zake ziko katika Malindi Police Station, OB number iko pale, majina yake yako pale, mamake anaishi pale ndani ya Malindi, ni kitu gani ambacho kinaendelea mpaka dakika hii ya kwamba hii serikali yetu huyu mwanamume mpaka leo hii Mheshimiwa Spika hajawahi kushikwa? Niko na kilio cha mama, ni kilio cha haki cha watoto wetu, na Mheshimiwa Spika si yeye peke yake. Ukiangalia sehemu zile ambazo kuna watalii, kuna wazungu wengi ambao wanakuja kuharibu watoto wetu. Nataka kujua ile mikakati yenye ambayo tuko nao sisi kama serikali ya Kenya ya kuweza kuzuilia mambo kama haya yasiendelee kufanyika, na ile haki ya watoto wetu itapatikaniwa vipi? Asante sana Speaker.
PCS, those are another 10. You can now take a response. They're all generic. They're all generic. The different one is the one from Munyanzi. And what I would want you to tell the House and the country is the apparent revelation of weak management system in TSC. Because you cannot employ teachers, post them, and at the whim of a complaint, you transfer them to where they want. We have recruited 100,000 teachers in this country. So the ratio of teachers to students in the country must have dramatically improved with this recruitment. It is a shame to continue hearing that a school with 700 children has 2 teachers or no teacher at all. So we need PCS as the holder of the policy to ensure that you strengthen the management system of particularly TSC, so that teachers posted to schools must remain in those schools. When they are employed, they always sign that I'm ready to work anywhere and everywhere in this country. Immediately they are posted, first salary, take me to where there is hardship. This is the weak link in this matter. PCS.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Okay, fine. Okay.
Let me very quickly just try and flag some issues. But first, let me concur with the sentiments from the chair, Mr. Speaker, that the Ministry of Education and the Teachers Service Commission need to review and ensure that the issue of deployment of teachers is better managed so that we do not have this sudden disparity that we are seeing even after we've recruited so many teachers, 100,000 and another 25,000 are on the way to be recruited. So that is a valid concern which I will communicate and work with the Ministry of Education to emphasize. Now, Mr. Speaker, I just want to repeat that on the issue of the hardship, very valid examples are being given, Mr. Speaker. The comment from the Member of Parliament from Kitui, it's again a matter that has been canvassed within this technical committee, and we hope that once we are through with the legal impediments, we can be able to address this. The other thing that I wish to point out is that, yes, there was the Dalmas Otieno report, but that was undertaken in 2009. So 10 years, which was 2019, there was the review of the other report. So I'm sure the circumstances in a number of areas that were undertaken during the late Dalmas Otieno's stewardship may have changed quite dramatically in certain areas. But again, we will take note and address that as we start looking at the implementation of the report. Mr. Speaker, Honorable Bowen and many others in different ways raised the issue about the harmonization of allowances. This is why the Salaries Review Commission is in place. It was clearly the mandate as set out in a law passed by this Parliament that we need to move away from discretionary approaches to salary adjustments or designation and have a structured institution that is independent that can carry out this. And that is why the SRC has the mandate to advise and approve on specific rates on allowances by the various officers. It cannot be done arbitrarily by the executive. We have to respect the institutions that have been put in place. Mr. Speaker, I do agree that on the parameters, there'll be need to continuously revise them so that they're more specific and maybe more detailed in approach. And the whole idea of having the prevalence of certain diseases is critical as a parameter, either in measuring accessibility to health or to water. I think this becomes a valid point from the Honorable Karoli Umondi. The issue that has been narrated about the criminal by the name Michael Valentine in Malindi is most unfortunate. I would plead that if the honorable member can maybe perhaps, so that we direct it specifically, because it's a very targeted question, we direct it to the Ministry of Interior so that they can have more concrete responses to that. But it's a very unfortunate situation, and it definitely deserves to be handled very, very seriously. Mr. Speaker, the issue of again, the Honorable Mandazi's specific issue, again, we would want to look at that petition specifically so that we know where it stands. It would be important for us to track after the submission where it did go. Once again, I just want to say that
You should touch on Hassan of Kamkunji.
Yes, I'm coming there.
Okay.
I'm coming there, Mr. Speaker. Now, on the Hassan issue, there were two specific issues. One, he did raise the issue about how do we manage these individuals who have acquired very dangerous skills coming back into the country, because then they could find their way into very dangerous activities that will pose security challenges to Kenya. Mr. Speaker, we are, as a government, through the relevant agencies, keeping a very close track of these individuals after they have been identified. At the same time, we also get them to go through de-radicalization processes because it's those who have either acquired military skills, those who have acquired cyber skills, they also go through a process once we are able to identify them so that they do not cause harm to the country. But the threat is real. And also I did indicate earlier that these are illegal activities. And whereas there may be some measure of leniency at this initial stage, found themselves in this dilemma, in the long run, the full force of the law must come into play. And I did cite the various sections of the law that could have been breached, and therefore there'll be need for action against this particular individual. On the issue of Kenya's position to the Middle East conflict at this point in time, the President of Kenya has pronounced himself to this, and he has been very specific that Kenya remains strategically neutral, and we have insisted that we should see a multilateral approach and resolution to this crisis so that multilateral institutions like the UN can play their respective role in helping to mitigate conflicts globally. We have called for de-escalation of this conflict because it's having serious ramifications globally, and Kenya will not escape some of those challenges, including the possibility of heightened terrorism activities as an aftermath or consequence of these various battles that are going on. I want to state categorically that Kenya is not a party to the conflict. We are not at war. And other than what you might call consequential threats of the war, Kenya is not a party to this conflict. And we are doing everything to make sure that Kenyans do not fall in the harm's way. Thank you.
Yes, I think on those 4 policy issues, I want to stop there. We have 2 questions. One from Oundo, another from Mwenje. They have consistently come here to beg the Speaker to allow the questions to be answered. If I give you 10 minutes, can you run through them?
Yes.
Are you ready with them?
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Whoever has them, can you bring the... If we can do it in 10 minutes, we have a very weighty matter coming on supplementaries. Because we also have a question or a supplementary to a question. Yes. Let me deal with these 2 formal questions first. Mwenje and Oundo. Mwenje, you can go first. Let me see, just hold on, Mwenje. Yes, Mwenje.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I rise to ask question
PCS, I've got only 10 minutes for these 2 questions.
Of 2026, and I'll go straight to the question. Could the Cabinet Secretary, 1, state the immediate measures the government has put in place to mitigate the effects of flooding currently affecting several parts of Nairobi County? 2, clarify whether there are any coordination mechanisms between the national government and the county government of Nairobi to ensure that the road construction and other infrastructure development projects incorporate adequate drainage systems that do not exacerbate flooding in residential areas. 3, outline the long-term measures or strategies put in place to improve stormwater drainage systems, flood control measures, and climate-resilient infrastructure within Nairobi County in coordination with the county governments. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
PCS.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I wish to respond as follows. Mr. Speaker, but first, before I just touch on the question, let me take this opportunity on behalf of the government to sincerely convey our condolences to the families that lost their loved ones during the recent flood in the country and more so in Nairobi. Now, immediate steps that the government is putting in place is as follows. There are those that are emergency and those that will be short to medium term and long term solutions. Immediate, for instance, we've pushed for immediate clearance and rehabilitation of primary stormwater drainage systems across flood-prone areas such as Mathare, Mukuru, Isili, South B, and the Central Business District to try and restore water flow and reduce flooding. We have establishment of a coordinated emergency response unit comprising the national government, county disaster teams, and the security agencies to support evacuation and rescue operations and humanitarian wastage. We are also working closely in utilizing the flood early warning systems, deployment in real time to help in monitoring where there could be challenges. We are also talking to residents so that we have repair and enforcement and evacuation measures so that eventually we can demarcate these areas and protect them because they have really been encroached and they cause a lot of problems. Most recently, for instance, there's been the threat around Nairobi Dam, which is not too far from here. We are also investing in temporary infrastructure protection measures involving the installation of temporary flood barriers, reinforcement of drainage corridors, and protection of critical infrastructure, including roads and bridges. Mr. Speaker, these interventions are more on an emergency basis. Now, let me very briefly just talk to the coordination mechanisms between the national government and the Nairobi City County government. Mr. Speaker, most recently, the national government has entered into a cooperation agreement which we can supply or table to the House so that they can be privy to this. It's a public document where the national government working with the county government will have a joint steering committee so that we can work together. The joint steering committee is chaired by me and Governor Sakaja is the vice chair. Then we have a second aspect of it, which is the implementation committee in this cooperation framework, where the governor of Nairobi is the chair, and he works with the principal secretaries of the very critical ministries that deal with matters around infrastructure. And it is estimated that to take the corrective action in several areas, it could require close to 80 billion Kenya shillings over time. And therefore, there's need for cooperation between the national government and the county, bearing in mind that this is the capital city of Kenya. And there's no way at this point in time that the county government of Nairobi can raise all these funds. So there's need for collaboration in interventions. We have, Mr. Speaker, prepared draft concept or white papers which focus on several areas, on water and sanitation, the issue of safe streets, the issues of markets and urban economy, the legal, finance, and governance aspects, matters of environment and green development, urban security, and all this intervention is going to be on an integrated basis without usurping the powers and the functions of the county government of Nairobi. Mr. Speaker, in the long-term measures, in the outline that I've given, within the context of the very brief outline on the white paper concept, we have both short-term, medium-term, and long-term approaches to how we can deal with the issues that affect Nairobi. And Mr. Speaker, if one can point out that already as we speak, the national government is undertaking a lot of programs. For instance, there was no new seaway investment in the city of Nairobi since those from the colonial system. Right now, the government of Kenya is investing very, very substantive resources that will help in changing the face of Nairobi and improving on matters of water and sanitation. And with that, the issue of planning, zoning will then become a consequential adjustment, bearing in mind that now there'll be more sewer, more infrastructure, better roads, more security that will come through.
Mwenje, you assured me you are satisfied. You'll not ask a supplementary. I'm not giving you. Oundo?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I would like the cabinet.
I'm sure you'll look at, there's a very detailed response. You can tease out all the issues and go and play politics with them. Yes, Oundo?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I would like the Cabinet Secretary to explain the delays in the operationalization of the Mluanda border crossing point in the Funyula constituency, which was commissioned by His Excellency the late President Mwai Kibaki on 28th March 2009, and the subsequent presidential directive of 14th June 2024 for purpose of establishing an entry and exit point between Kenya and Uganda. B, state the steps or actions taken to implement the resolutions of the Joint Technical Committee, JTC meeting of Kenya and Uganda held on 18th to 20th April 2023 for the development of entry and exit points at Konyao in West Pokot County, Lokiriama in Turkana, and Mluanda in Busia County. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. PCS, I assign 5 minutes for that.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Indeed, this is a matter that has been on the cards, on the table for quite some time, and I wish to respond as follows. Mr. Speaker, the operationalization of the Mluanda border post requires concurrence with the government of Uganda. In this regard, the Border Control Operations Coordination Committee meeting was held on 29th July 2025, and it highlighted the need for both the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to pursue further conversation with the Republic of Uganda. The committee further proposed a joint site visit of the Kenyan and Ugandan authorities to identify the suitable land for setting up of the proposed port of entry. Technically, the boundary formation between Kenya and Uganda at Mluanda and Bujinde area needs to be done in order to determine the exact coordinates where the port of entry should be established. Kenya International Boundaries Office, KIBO, is apprised of this issue, and in February 2026, the Ministry of Foreign and Diaspora Affairs requested, that is just a month or so away, behind us, the Republic of Uganda for a joint reaffirmation and demarcation of activities in the Mluanda-Bunyinde area. The Republic of Uganda has proposed that the said activities should commence in May 2026. The road to the proposed port of entry is a rural road. The committee has recommended the road upgrade of Nangina Junction to Mluanda. The road should be upgraded from Class C to Class A to meet the standards required for international trunk roads effectively support the cross-border trade, security, and mobility. I think the second aspect of it is the steps or actions taken to implement the resolutions of the Joint Technical Committee. And I have indicated briefly that we met, but that is the committees met, and we hope that in May 2026 this conversation can be done. However, over and above that, let me update that in terms of the proposed port, the government through the Kenya Revenue Authority has acquired 20 acres of land for the establishment of the Konyao border. KRA is the designated lead agency in land borders in terms of the issue around ports of entry and so forth. And is in the process of also acquiring prefabricated containers for temporary deployment of key agencies. Among them, we will put immigration, health, customs, and so forth. Now, the environmental impact assessment report from NEMA has been conducted and forwarded to KRA so that this implementation process planning can be done. Mr. Speaker, let me just point out very quickly that when it comes to the issue of dealing with the borders, it's quite complicated in the sense that you have to get the concurrence of the neighboring country. And we are still working on many segments of our border. Between us and Tanzania, KIBO is working very closely to continue, because some countries take longer. You have to budget, it's a very expensive exercise. And I know Ondo is a surveyor, so he knows somewhat from a technical perspective the issues that I'm raising. So apart from concurrence and mutual understanding. You cannot just go and start demarcating a border between you and another country. The need to make sure that you're working in tandem is very, very important. We have a similar situation in completing the process of our border with South Sudan, completing our border with Ethiopia. We are also working even on the side of Somalia to make sure that this process is done smoothly. So there are multiple areas, but specifically to this one, we hope that in the May meeting, we can now come to concurrence with our neighbor and we proceed.
Ondo, you also assured me you will not ask a supplementary, so I'm not giving you. You said you had seen the report, the answer, and you are satisfied. PCS, yes, Bukose, I've given you.
Honorable Speaker, I want to thank the PCS for the responses. But I was listening to this issue about the hardship allowance for many areas. And this is something that has been coming on in almost every parliament. Now, I thought from his report that there is a multi-agency that was formed. Is it possible, mine is a request, it's not a question, that we can have maybe even a Kamukunji or a sitting where that report for the multi-agency is brought before the members who are affected, and then we agree on a way forward so that, because I know many members are dissatisfied with the responses that have been given, with all due respect, Honorable Speaker.
PCS, I think what I heard you say is that the conclusion of the report is halted by a court process, yes. Right? If we give it like 2-3 months for the court process to end, how long would it take you to bring the final report here? With all the salient issues, you can see the psyche of every member is for the interest of having teachers, they want the areas declared hardship, even when they visibly are not. I've not heard of any situation where a lot of rain can cause hardship. You had the case of one member. So when do you think you can bring the final report, to which I'll assign a Kamkunji? You come here as PCS with ministers whose dockets are constantly debated for hardship. Interior, education, and which other one? I think those are the key. Interior and education. You come with them, leading them to discuss fully and conclusively with members. Areas where there have been promises but not fulfilled. Areas where there have been declassified. And really, members of parliament, as leaders of this country, it's our dream to have none of any areas of this country called hardship going to the future. That's what we should be aspiring for. But as we head there, we need a harmonized way of having these hardships, because how do you have, for example, what you said, PCS, one department says they have 16 hardship areas, another one has 44, another one has 21 in the same country. Because hardship for a teacher should be hardship for a DO, should be hardship for a policeman, and so on and so forth. So we give you time to look at all these things, and at an appropriate time, once you are ready, signal my office. I'll give you an opportunity to come with those departments and rein in TSC, because that is the biggest area of complaint. At the end of the day, our children go through and face the same exams. A school with 2 teachers and a school with 20 teachers cannot be facing the same examination at par. Thank you. We'll release you to, unless you want to say something.
No, Mr. Speaker, I think I just want to acknowledge that I'm well guided by your communication. And as soon as the court cases is determined, it should not take more than, it should take a month to be able to, because the report is basically ready, but it cannot move until that is determined. Thank you.
You are released to go back to your other engagements. Call out the next order.
Order number 13, motion. Consideration of the supplementary estimates for the financial year 2025-2026.
Atandi. Chairman, Budget and
Thank you.
Appropriations.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 48, I beg to move the motion on consideration of the supplementary estimates for the financial year.
Members, as Atandi moves his motion, allow me to acknowledge his very cooperative and consultative approach to the work of his committee that I've seen comparable to previous activities. Go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for those accolades. Pursuant to the provisions of the Standing Order 48, I beg to move the motion on consideration of the supplementary estimates for the financial year 2025-2026 in an amended form as follows. That this House adopts the report of the Budget and Appropriations Committee on its consideration of the supplementary estimates for the financial year 2025-2026 laid on the table of the House on Tuesday, 31st March 2026, and pursuant to the provisions of Article 223 of the Constitution, Section 39 of the Public Finance Management Act, Cap 412A and Standing Order 243, 1, approves an increase of the current expenditure for the financial year 2025-2026 by Kenya shillings 232,427,326,355 in respect of the votes contained in the first schedule. 2, approves a decrease of the capital expenditure for the financial year 2025-2026 by Kenya shillings 131,455,269,596 in respect of the votes contained in the first schedule. 3, approves an overall increase in the total budget for the financial year 2025-2026 by Kenya shillings 363,882,595,951 in respect of the votes contained in the first schedule. 4, makes financial recommendations as contained in the third schedule. 5, approves the expenditures under Article 223 of the Constitution as contained in the fourth schedule. 6, resolves that the first schedule form the basis for the consideration of the Supplementary Appropriation Bill 2026. And lastly, notes the following adjustments made to the following votes. Number 1, vote 1025. Number 2, vote 1026. Number 3, vote 1033. Number 4, vote 1036. Number 5, vote 1064. Number 6, vote 1066. Number 7, vote 1071. Number 8, vote 1072. Number 9, vote 1073. Number 10, vote 1091. Number 11, vote 1104, sorry. Number 12, vote 1109. Number 13, vote 1169. Number 14, vote 1213. Number 15, vote 2021. Number 16, vote 2061. Number 17, vote 2042. Number 18, vote 2044. Honorable Speaker, the supplementary estimates for the financial year 2025-2026 were submitted to the National Assembly on 3rd March 2026 in accordance with Article 223 of the Constitution, Section 44 of the PFM Act, Cap 412, and Standing Order 243 of National Assembly. The supplementary budget seeks to regularize expenditures incurred under Article 223 of the Constitution and to realign our national budget to address urgent emerging priorities ranging from security operations, disaster response to personnel costs, and also key infrastructural programs. Honorable Speaker, at this juncture, let me take this opportunity to appreciate and thank members of this House who sit in departmental committees led by their chairman for the support I received during the processing of the Supplementary Estimates 1. Honorable Speaker, as the Honorable Speaker who has just left explained, that budget process is very consultative. It is not the chairman's private pockets booklet. Processing of the budget requires that we talk to everybody, including Kenyans. And therefore, I'm proud that I am the first chairman who is doing the right thing as far as budget making is concerned. And has been appreciated and acknowledged by the Speaker. Honorable Speaker, even as we talk, we are still consulting. We will be able to finish the budget process when we finally put the vote. But before that, I can assure you that we are still consulting. And so many members on the floor who are still coming to me and telling me, Chairman, there may be an error here, there's something that has not been captured correctly. I am here and I'm ready to listen to all those issues until the final bell is called. Honorable Speaker, I want to add that most members have been challenging the processing of supplementary estimates. And I want to believe that this is probably the only and the final supplementary budget we are processing in this financial year. In the past, we have done many supplementary estimates. There's a year, I think we did, 3. I am happy that this is going to be the year we are going to process the only one supplementary budget. And, Honorable Speaker, many supplementary budgets lack credibility in the past because of 2 reasons. One, because it basically mutilates the budget. The main budget, the original budget which is passed at the end of supplementary budgets, is something you cannot even recognize. But for this one, Honorable Speaker, we have tried our best not to tamper with the original estimates. In any case, what we have done is basically to add, to increase. If you look at the development vote, for example, it has gone up by about 131 billion. In most cases, it's always the case. It's always that it is reduced, it is cut, and votes are interfered with. So I want to assure members that even as they approve these supplementary estimates, the original votes contained in development programs across the country are on course, and they are being implemented because we have not had any interference. Also, as part of consultative process, Honorable Speaker, we tried to minimize changes or reallocations. This is something which has not gone well with some committees, but I think it is the only thing that was important for us to do. We are approaching the end of this parliamentary term, and if there's any project that was assigned in your various constituencies, I don't think it is right for Parliament to come and interfere with the votes, the allocations, so that you really cannot even effect it, yet you are going for election. So we want to promise that all those programs that are ongoing in your constituencies, we are determined to ensure that those programs are concluded. And to get them to conclusion, we must allocate resources. Honorable Speaker, I want to thank the Majority Leader, the leadership of the House, the Speaker, Majority Leader, the Minority Leader. They have worked closely with me to ensure that we address the issues of the country. And of course, the President, Honorable Speaker, the President has given us the authority and permission to ensure that we do things right for the country. Honorable Speaker, the positive trajectory Honorable Speaker, the supplementary estimates, I propose to increase total expenditure by 316.7 billion from 4.3 trillion to 4.6 trillion equivalents to 7% above the original budget. It's also worth noting that on 30th March 2026, National Treasury proposed additional adjustments amounting to 61.65 billion shillings to further cater for emerging issues in security, housing, health, and education. These revisions come in an environment of strong economic recovery supported by good weather, stable inflation, policy reforms, and a bottom-up economic transformation agenda. Honorable Speaker, you would be interested to know, well, how are you going to fund the additional expenditures? I want to say, Honorable Speaker, that in this budget, we have increased care allocations by about 17 billion. The reason we are doing this, Honorable Speaker, is that we want KRA to focus on 3 items. One, to tame something we call tax avoidance, to tame tax evasion, and to enlarge or increase or improve the tax base. Honorable Speaker, it is a fact that not many Kenyans are paying tax. In fact, most Kenyans who have more money, who earn more money from this economy are avoiding tax. So we want to urge KRA that with these resources we have given you, we want you to work very hard and get Kenyans to get more Kenyans into the tax bracket. Honorable Speaker, it is a fact, and this has been pronounced by the President and the Cabinet Minister for Treasury, that we are not going to increase taxes. And even in the finance bill which is being processed, we are not going to have new taxes. We are not going to burden Kenyans with more taxes for the sake of raising revenue. So we want KRA to focus on those 3 items which I have highlighted. Honorable Speaker, the financial year 2025-2026, supplementary estimates number 1 represent a significant and strategic adjustment to our national budget, unlike in previous years where development vote often face substantial cuts. I have explained that for the first time, development vote is going up. We are increasing it by 131.45 billion. So in the end, we are going to have a development vote of about 878 billion. This is really substantial, Honorable Speaker, considering that in the previous year, our development vote was about 550 billion. Honorable Speaker, the positive trajectory in development spending is particularly noteworthy. Key sectors such as roads, transport, agriculture, irrigation, water, and sanitation, health services, energy, and livestock development have received additional resources to accelerate ongoing initiatives and address emerging priorities. For example, substantial increases have been directed towards road construction, agricultural value chains, water infrastructure, sports facilities, areas that directly impact on the lives of ordinary Kenyans and support the bottom-up economic transformation agenda. Honorable Speaker, with regard, I have explained the financing of the budget, but I also need to emphasize, Honorable Speaker, that the government is seeking stronger non-tax revenue mobilization efforts, such as privatization and securitization. The Kenya shilling 17.6 billion enhanced funding to KRA is expected to boost tax collections and help government minimize public borrowing. In addition, the National Treasury is advancing a program of privatization and asset monetization, during turning underperforming public assets into revenue-generating entities. Honorable Speaker, the government has put in place strategies and plans to ensure that those private assets that have no value, that are not adding value, that are consuming our tax revenues, are either wound up or restructured. I think this is a very important point which needs to be highlighted, that we are not going to continue to fund private assets that are not helping, that are consuming money. They don't have development projects. The only thing they do, Honorable Speaker, is to pay salaries for employees. This is something I think which this House has taken note of, and we want to urge government to quicken those processes that are aimed at addressing those particular challenges. So, Honorable Speaker, let me just highlight a few sectors. That, or factors that have made this supplementary budget necessary. The first one is shortfalls in personnel emoluments across education, health, and the security sectors. Honorable Speaker, when we passed the main budget, the original budget, 2025-2026, we realized that we did not adequately cover personnel emolument votes for education, health, and security sectors. This, Honorable Speaker, necessitated that we have to do a supplementary budget to be able to cover those areas. Then, of course, the other one is urgent funding for security operations, national intelligence, and policing. Honorable Speaker, and I want the House to listen. If we are going to have incidences of insecurity challenges, and then it comes out that this House did not appropriate resources for that, I think that's the reason why even this House should be disbanded. Parliament should be disbanded. And therefore, Parliament must ensure that when it comes to matters of security, intelligence, and policing, we must provide resources for that, because we have to be safe. First of all, the country must be secured. Kenyans must be safe. They must move around this country without any fear, so that they can be able to develop and grow work and grow the economy. Thirdly, Honorable Speaker, outlays for disaster response due to drought and floods. Honorable Speaker, in just a few months ago, before the rains, we had incidents of drought incidences. And the government had to move in swiftly to be able to help in those areas where we had drought challenges, to provide food, to provide water, and to provide medicine. Additional needs arising from donor-funded projects and debt service adjustments. And the last one, the need to support ongoing reforms in agriculture, housing, health, which are pillars of better. Honorable Speaker, you will, as I will explain in the next phase of my presentation, universal health coverage was not adequately funded when we passed the regional estimates. And therefore, we had some shortfalls which we have tried to address in these supplementary estimates. And of course, housing. The housing vote has received a substantial boost of about 25 billion, which is going to help us address the ongoing programs. Honorable Speaker, the government is working very, very hard to ensure that we complete all the affording housing programs across the country before the elections, to ensure that the promise which you gave Kenyans of the number of houses we are supposed to construct is realized. Honorable Speaker, let me now go to the sectoral supplementary allocations. Honorable Speaker, as I said, governance and security remains the biggest beneficiary of additional allocations, accounting for about 60 billion in total. The State Department for Internal Security and National Administration receives 9.9 billion, broken down as follows. 3.9 billion for security operations, 2 billion for compensation of victims of demonstrations and post-election violence. Honorable Speaker, I want to repeat and to tell our supporters across the country, as you know, I'm a member of the Orange Democratic Movement Party, and we had promised in in the 10-point agenda signed between the President and the late Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga that we were going to address this long-term problem of victims of post-election and political demonstrations. I want to confirm here on the floor of this House that we have allocated 2 billion shillings to start off that process. As the Kenya National Human Rights Commission, which is going to be administering the fund, we have also given them some 45 million to start preparations. And I think that preparation is ongoing. The other issue, Honorable Speaker, is 4 billion shillings allocated for police modernization and National Integrated Security Command and Control. This one, as I know the Honorable Tongo, the chairman of Security Committee, will explain, this is a very, very important allocation, Honorable Speaker, so that we are able to enhance the security surveillance across the country. Honorable Speaker, right now, if, for example, you got lost, like one of our leaders, former leaders, got lost recently, we need to be able to trace them. The government should be able to find where they are. If they said they were hijacked on Moi Avenue, we should be able to know how they moved from Moi Avenue to wherever they are. So, Honorable Speaker, this allocation is going to support that program. Honorable Speaker, in addition, IBC has been allocated 2.9 billion shillings to help, first of all, settle its long-term pending bills. Honorable Speaker, you know we are approaching elections, and many people are already accusing IBC of planning to interfere with elections. Therefore, we want to ensure that IBC is properly funded. We don't want to give anybody an excuse that, IBC, we didn't do this for IBC, and therefore they didn't meet minimum expectations for our elections. So we are continuing to fund IBC as part of its preparations for the forthcoming elections. Honorable Speaker, on the education sector, education continues to account for a significant share of additional funding. TSC, Teacher Service Commission, has been allocated 24.2 billion to cover salary shortfalls and health insurance contributions for teachers. Honorable Speaker, teachers and the police are the largest spenders in terms of personal emoluments, and therefore we want to ensure that teachers are happy. We want to give them everything they need so that they are able to take care of our students and pupils. We are paying, Honorable Speaker, 3.88 billion to clear outstanding university salary arrears from the 2017-2022-2021 collective bargaining agreement, CBA, and to support the Wings to Fly program through TVET. I don't need to expand on that, Honorable Speaker, because I know all of us understand. Higher education, through the State Department of Higher Education, has been allocated an extra 1 billion shillings, and this money will go to Moi University. Moi University, Honorable Speaker, has had some challenges, And I think it's important for this House to try to address that alongside other universities. These adjustments ensure continuity in training and safeguard the lives of both staff and students. Honorable Speaker, on the health sector, the supplementary estimates provide 4.7 billion shillings under the State Department for Medical Services and 775 million under public health and professional standards. Kenya shillings billion has been allocated to settle pending bills for the defunct NHIF. Honorable Speaker, NHIF pending bills, it took us a long time for us to get them ready and to be verified. And since that has been done, it is important for this House to appropriate resources towards that. The 675 million has gone to upgrading level 4 hospitals across the country. Honorable Speaker, there are many level 4 hospitals across the country that are not in good shape, and they have been identified by the ministry, and this money is going to help to support those in that. Public health, 700 million shillings has been provided for mosquito nets and monitoring malaria control efforts. Honorable Speaker, malaria remains one of the highest killers, especially along the water regions, the lake region, the coast, and therefore it's important for us to be able to provide nets for those people who live in those regions. The interventions aim to sustain the gains made under universal health coverage and to enhance service delivery at the grassroots level. Honorable Speaker, on the infrastructure and housing, we have allocated 23 billion for roads. And the main projects under roads are one, the Isiolo-Mandera Corridor, Kitale-Mopas, Nairobi Intelligent Transport System, Mombasa-Mariakani Dwelling, and the Dongo-Kundu Special Economic Zones. Those are the major ones that are going to take the substantial portion of that vote. Ministry of Roads, again, has 2.6 billion to rehabilitate floods, damaged roads, and complete critical corridors, while the State Department for Housing and Urban Development, I explained earlier, has 25 billion. Honorable Speaker, we have 1.72 billion for water projects such as Tuake Multipurpose Dam. This, I think, is a project in Ukambani, I think Makueni and Nairobi Water Rehabilitation. In Energy, Honorable Speaker, we have allocated 515 million shillings to cater for the Olkaria, Lesos, Kisumu transmission line, while 75 million has been allocated to upgrade Lafi Airstrip in Mandera County. Honorable Speaker, there is 1.6 billion shillings for water and irrigation projects, mainly strategic dams and drought mitigation projects in ASOL regions. Honorable Speaker, as all of you understand, the ASOL regions, they continue to suffer water shortages when drought comes, and when flooding comes, the same. So, Honorable Speaker, we believe this money is going to help to support in containing those challenges, and we want to ask the responsive agencies to ensure that this money is properly utilized, and we want to see the projects on the ground. Honorable Speaker, sometimes we allocate resources, but we can't see the projects on the ground. Lastly, on the agricultural sector, has received 17 billion shillings, and this includes 10 billion shillings are allocated to the fertilizer subsidy program, and this now brings the total subsidy allocation to 18 billion. Honorable Speaker, in the regional estimates, we had allocated 8 billion. We have added 10 billion to the subsidy. Honorable Speaker, the subsidy program is very transformative. And we have explained here the economic growth. And that our economy is going at about 5%. GDP is going at around 5%. This is higher than the GDP growth, global GDP growth of 3%. And agriculture has continued to play its part in supporting the GDP growth for our country. And therefore, this 10 billion addition to this fund, subsidy program, is going to support the continuous growth of our GDP. Honorable Speaker, we have 7.8 billion shillings towards sugar sector reforms, of which 6 billion arises from the Sugar New Levy Fund. Honorable Speaker, when the sugar companies were privatized, most of the staff who were working there, and some of them were released, had salary arrears. So this is part of the money is going to fund salary arrears for the sugar factories that were privatized. And lastly, we have 2 billion, which is meant for seed and seedling distribution. Honorable Speaker, there is crop diversification program in the Ministry of Agriculture, which aims to transform regions that relied on some particular crops. There are regions that were originally planting maize, and they want to move to other more cash crops, like coffee. So we are allocating these funds to ensure that we urge them, they use these funds to grow crops that are going to add value to the economy. We have realized that coffee, first of all, is a crop that can be grown in every part of the country. Nyanza, coast, western, you can grow coffee. So we want those regions to start growing coffee. So we are going to avail seedlings for them so that when they prepare their farms, they can move into cash crop farming. Honorable Speaker, I want to conclude and say that the committee made the following recommendations. One, that by 30th June 2026, the Cabinet Secretary for National Treasury submits to the National Assembly trends of allocations under Article 223, including the proportion of Article 223 expenditures to be approved by the budget, by vote or by spending entity for the period 2022-2023 to date. This information will help the National Assembly address the growing reliance on Article 223 spending, which will continue to reduce stability of the budget. Honorable Speaker, there's something which I did not highlight, that even though we were able to approve substantial approvals under Article 223, the Departmental Committee on Devolution rejected one expenditure. And this is expenditure that had to do with the Siaya International Investment Conference. There was an allocation of 60 million shillings which was meant for that conference. Unfortunately, Honorable Speaker, before the conference began, the Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga passed on, and the conference did not take place. But Honorable Speaker, the Siaya County government has not been able to provide, how that money was spent. And therefore, this is the only expenditure under Article 223 which this committee, which budget committee and the departmental committee rejected. The second recommendation, Honorable Speaker, is that by 30th June 2026, the Cabinet Secretary for National Treasury, in consultation with the Cabinet Secretary for Ministry of Public Service and Human Capital Development, develops and enforces accurate personnel emoluments costing, including aligning recruitment to approved budget, ceilings, and strengthening medium-term wage bill. Number three, that the Cabinet Secretary for the National Treasury establish a dedicated budget line and expand the rural electrification and renewable energy cooperation appropriations in aid ceilings, anchored on the 5% rural electrification program levy arrears to support the timely delivery of off-grid electrification. Three, that by 30th June 2026, the Office of the Auditor General, in consultation with the Attorney General, submit to the National Assembly a proposal for amendment to the Public Finance Management Act to introduce enforceable sanctions for non-implementation of audit recommendations. Honorable Speaker, there are many audit recommendations that have not been implemented. Some of those recommendations include, prosecuting culprits. But we have realized that those recommendations are just lie idle in offices. So we want those recommendations to be enforced through an amendment to the PFM Act and to enforce and to say, if you don't implement this audit report, this is the punishment. Fifth, the Cabinet Secretary for National Treasury, in consultation with the Clerk of the National Assembly, grants the Parliamentary Budget Office read-only access to the integrated financial management information system. This access will enable the office to monitor real-time budget execution and generate analytical reports to support parliamentary oversight. Honorable Speaker, budget making process undergoes about 3 or 4 stages. That is formulation, approval, implementation. But we realize that this House only participates in one, which is approval. After approval, the process of ensuring implementation presses a challenge. And so this amendment will ensure that Parliament can be able to access and see what's happening in the budget to ensure that there's timely implementation. Honorable Speaker, in closing, I extend my appreciation to the departmental committees for their sectoral supplementary expenditure reports, which greatly inform the preparation of this document. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker and members, for this opportunity. I now I beg to move and now ask my Vice Chairman
in the National Assembly. Honorable Speaker, this supplementary bill 2026 makes provision for giving statutory sanction for public expenditure for the year ending on 30th June 2026 on the basis of supplementary estimates of expenditure for 2025-2026, recurrent and supplementary estimates expenditure 2025-2026, development, and therefore, and the appropriation of these amounts. Honorable Speaker, when you look at our budget as it is now, one of the biggest trend that we should be able to go, and that is the position of the Budget and Appropriation Committee, is that we should be able to do zero budgeting. 2, we should also have a single treasury account. And this, Honorable Speaker, will be able to give us a better way on how we can be able to make our budget. Honorable Speaker, this budget, the supplementary budget, only affects the national budget. It does not affect the budget of the counties. And as you remember, when we were moving the division of revenue bill in this House, we say that when there is a shortfall, then what it means is that the national government bears that responsibility. And therefore, looking into the budget, you'll find that there's some bit of shortfall, and therefore you'll find that there is maybe adjustment in terms of maybe recurrent, and where possible, we try to also adjust the development to meet the requirements of Kenyans. Honorable Speaker, in this budget, supplementary budget, as my chair has put it, we've tried as much as possible to work very closely with the departmental chairs, engage them in consultation, and try to minimize as much as possible the amendments which have been done so that we can meet the objectives of this supplementary budget. Because when the executive came up with this supplementary budget, they had certain objectives. And therefore, it is incumbent on us as Parliament to be able not to go very far from those objectives and make sure that we are able to not to do a lot of amendments to it, but consult widely so that we can be able to make sure that all those issues are delivered. And Honorable Speaker, in that consultation, you will find that in certain areas where you have projects that are ongoing, especially whether it's roads, whether it's electricity, whether it's water, those projects must be able to be allowed to continue to completion, because there is no point in starting a project, then money is diverted from that project to start another new project. And this is the trend that we are encouraging the committees to be able to go, because it becomes very unfortunate that people have realized a project is starting, then in the middle of that project, the money is being diverted to start another new project altogether. Honorable Speaker, in this supplementary budget, you realize that the biggest beneficiaries, actually, as stated by my chair, is the security agencies, the teachers, so that all those gaps that are there are being filled. We also looked at other areas like the health sector. Kenyatta National Hospital, they have the cancer unit, which they've not been able to operate, to make it running because of breakdown of machine. And you can realize that that presents a serious challenge for patients who want treatment on cancer and follow-up. And therefore, the health committee made a proposal which we agreed with, that money be allocated for the purchase of a LINAC machine, which had already undergone process of procurement. And that, to me, I think will go a long way in supporting Kenyatta National Hospital, or especially the cancer unit, to make sure that we are able to deliver on that. Other areas where there are deficiencies, like especially in personnel emoluments, we know that there are facilities, hospitals, Moi Teaching and Referral, Kenyatta National Hospital, Kenyatta Teaching and Referral, where they have shortfalls in terms of personnel emoluments. this supplementary budget has tried also to address those areas so that we are able to make provision for personnel emoluments to make sure that services within those institutions are running smoothly. Honorable Speaker, when it comes to other projects, as my chair puts it, where we are encouraging subsidies, especially in the farming area, we've been able to provide, as you are aware, that seed maize, especially in the North Rift, this is the planting season. In this budget, we've been able to provide subsidy to Kenya Seed to make sure that they're able to pay for the last season, where they were able to provide farmers without raising the price, and they maintain that price. In this budget, we've been able to provide around 1 billion, 1.3 billion to make sure that that shortfall which Kenya Seed experienced in last season is able to be taken care of. And then we are in the main budget, which will be coming to this house in this month, then we'll be able to provide 2 billion for this year to make sure that the subsidy program is working well. And this morning I talked to the managing director, Kenya Seed, and he assured me that the process now is on. Our farmers can be able to access seed maize at the National Cereals and Produce Board, together with the fertilizer, which is already on subsidy. And that, to me, I think is the way to go to make sure that our farmers can be able to access quality and quality fertilizer and also quality seed maize at a price that is affordable, to make sure that our food security is being maintained and we are able to produce enough to make sure that our country is safe. Honorable Speaker, in this supplementary also, we've provided about 2.1 billion to the National Oil, NOC, National Oil Corporation of Kenya, to make sure that we get it back on its foot, because this is a strategic company for the fuel within this country. As we are now today, you'll find that with the war in the Middle East, challenges are going to come. You're going to have people hoarding fuel, and that could be able to affect many other areas in terms of economy. And therefore, bringing back NOC into its foot and making sure that it runs well is a very important part of this supplementary budget. Honorable Speaker, in this supplementary budget, we've also provided 1.4 billion to REREC. This is to provide power to areas that are off-grid. This, you are talking of people who are not able to access power in the national grid. They were talking of northeastern parts of our country. And therefore, this will be able to, and those people are running on fuel generators, which makes it very hard for them to access services. And therefore, with this supplementary budget, a line will be has also been suggested for provision to make sure that the 1.4 billion reaches the hard-to-reach areas that are off-grid within Kenya, to make sure that they also access power like any other part of the country. With those few remarks, Honorable Speaker, I second.
Order. Honorable members, I'll now propose the question on the motion moved as amended, that this House adopts the report of the Budget and Appropriations Committee on its consideration of the supplementary estimates for the financial year 2025-26 laid on the table of the House on Tuesday, that 1st March 2026, and pursuant to the provisions of Article 223 of the Constitution, Section 39 of the Public Finance Management Act, Cap 412A, and Standing Order 243, 1, approves an increase of the current expenditure for financial year 2025-26 by Kenya shillings to 32,427,326,355 in respect of the votes contained in the first schedule. 2, approves an increase of the capital expenditure for financial year 2025-26 by Kenya shillings 131,455,269,596 in respect of the votes contained in the first schedule. 3, approves an overall increase in the total budget for financial year 2025-2026 by Kenya shillings 363,882,595,951 in respect of the votes contained in the first schedule. 4, makes financial recommendations as contained in the third schedule. 5, approves the expenditures under Article 223 of the Constitution as contained in the fourth schedule. 6, resolves that the first schedule form the basis for the consideration of the Supplementary Appropriation Bill 2026. And 7, notes for further adjustments made to the following votes. 1, vote 1025 National Police Service. Vote 1026 State Department for Internal Security and National Administration. Vote 1033 State Department for Special Programs. Vote 1036 State Department for ASAL and Regional Developments. Vote 1064 State Department for Technical Vocational Education and Training. Vote 1066 State Department for Basic Education. Vote 1071 the National Treasury. Vote 1072 State Department for Economic Planning. Vote 1073 State Department for Investments and Asset Management. State 1091 State Department for Roads 022000 Road Transport. Vote 1104 State Department for Irrigation. Vote 1109 State Department for Water and Sanitation. Vote 1169 State Department for Agriculture. Vote 1213 State Department for Public Service and Human Capital Development. Vote 2021 Control of Budget. Vote 2061 the Commission on Revenue Allocation. Vote 2042 National Assembly. And vote 2044 the Senate. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I rise to support this motion for adoption of the supplementary estimates for the financial year 2025-2026 budget as tabled yesterday by Chairman Atandi. Let me thank the Budget and Appropriations Committee, all our departmental committees for the immense work that they put in during the short recess, which, as we had said when we were commencing on that short recess, was a working recess. And indeed, the culmination of the tabling of this report was testimony to that indeed members, especially those who sit in our departmental committees, were indeed very busy together with the Budget and Appropriations Committee during the recess period. Honorable Speaker, as the mover and seconder have said, this supplementary budget is just that, a supplementary budget, over and above the budget that we passed at the beginning of this financial year, last year in May, June. And it being a supplementary budget, it's focusing largely on additional funding and reallocations that address either emerging issues or issues that were not accommodated within the main budget that have come up after the passage of the budget. Things that were unforeseen that have been paid under Article 223 of the Constitution. And that is why I said it is just but a supplementary budget. It's not the main budget. In another 3-4 weeks, we will get the annual estimates for the budget itself. And I'm saying that, Honorable Speaker, because I've seen a clamor by many of us to want to include every other thing that you want in this budget, supplementary budget. Just to calm people that there is a main budget that is coming and there's a lot of things that people may have been pushing for that can be accommodated within the annual estimates or the main budget itself, that will be here with us before the end of this month, because as per our statutes, by the 30th of April, the annual estimates must be tabled by the National Treasury. So this is a time to begin engaging with our ministries, our state departments, our MDAs, so that if there are any projects that you intend to be captured in the budget for your constituents, for the areas that we come from, this is the time to begin to engage, so that we have a budget process that is consultative, that is engaging, and we avoid the temptation that is usually there for people to want to parachute things into the budget. And I must thank the chair of the Budget and Appropriations Committee, because in this supplementary budget, together with the Budget Committee and all chairs of our departmental committees, we had a meeting last week, and we agreed in principle that we will stick to what has been agreed on between the executive, the Budget and Appropriations Committee, which has a lot of veto powers. You know, Honorable Speaker, this budget committee is a very powerful committee in this House. And I know they run into problems at times with our departmental chairs. And I must beg our departmental chairs to indulge the Budget and Appropriations Committee when they veto some of the reallocations that we may want to make. Because part of the challenges, Honorable Speaker, that we have encountered, especially this financial year, besides the issues that the chair and the vice chair have alluded to, the emerging global issues like the war in the Gulf region, that will bring in shocks to the economy, the world economy. And we are no exception. I know there are those who've been very keen to make politics out of it. I've heard one of us shouting all over, I'm daring the government to dare increase the price of fuel. It is not the government that increases the price of fuel. And it's common sense. If you have been to any school, you should know if there's war in the Gulf, where we are getting all our oil from, at some point, the prices of oil will go up naturally. I have seen President Donald Trump telling us, those of us who get oil from through the Strait of Hormuz, that if you cannot go and buy oil from the US, you go and get it yourselves from the Strait of Hormuz. You fight your way. Honorable Speaker, I don't know how many of us will be able to fight our way in the Strait of Hormuz to get oil. So those who are making cheap politics, Honorable Speaker, it's just fair to accommodate or rather indulge the Budget and Appropriations Committee when they try and rationalize all our expectations, because resources are limited. We may not be able to satisfy all our needs immediately. And those emerging issues, Honorable Speaker was saying, will naturally distort our budget process. This financial year and even in the next financial year, we'll have to incur expenditure that we never planned for. We will have to incur expenditure, Honorable Speaker, when, you remember, when just before the rains came in, we had a drought. And you will see in this budget, supplementary budget, there are resources that have gone towards mitigating the drought situation. Then immediately the drought ended, floods came in. You have to provide for money to deal with the floods issue. I have seen the governor for Nairobi saying, as much as we want to demonize him, and I'm not here to speak for Governor Sakaja, because I only live in Nairobi and I don't vote in Nairobi. But we expect Governor Sakaja to sort out issues that we have created or problems we created over 60 years in 2 or 3 years. He's a human being, he will not do it. I'm told by Honorable KJ it is longer than 60 years. Because the unplanned construction that has gone on in Nairobi, the encroachment of our riparian reserves, the dumping that we dump everywhere. As I drive home to Kikuyu every day, I look at the median from Kangemi all the way to Kino. The median, the space between the two roads on the dual carriage, is now a huge dump site. And I keep asking myself, honestly, we are the ones dumping, and we expect the county government to come and collect our own garbage. We must be able to begin to manage our garbage. And I'm only saying these things, Honorable Speaker, in passing, because these emerging issues, floods, drought, bring excesses that will require us to allocate more resources towards their mitigation. Honorable Speaker, we also have challenges in revenue generation. And I must speak to the Kenya Revenue Authority, Honorable Speaker. Part of the reason why every year we have to do supplementary budgets is because we fail to meet our revenue targets. And we don't fail to meet our revenue targets because we do not have the ability to raise this money. It is because we have a revenue authority that is either lazy or is riddled with corruption. People are collecting bribes left, right, and center instead of collecting revenue. Or because we have inefficient systems, Honorable Speaker. I know through the ETIM system, there have been attempts. But there is also a deliberate sabotage of the digitization process within KRA because people do not want change. But if we have to run a nation and move it to the first world nation, we must be a nation where we pay taxes. We must be a nation where we're able to generate all the revenue that we can be able to generate from this economy, Honorable Speaker. We can raise an extra 300, 400 billion shillings from this economy without having to change the tax regime at all. Simply by digitizing our taxation, tax-raising measures, or rather our tax generation systems, our revenue-raising systems. But, Honorable Speaker, it has taken us 2-3 years just talking about digitization in KRA. We must tell those in the board in KRA and the management of KRA, time is running out. We cannot just be speaking every other day about revenue, and having to sit here to do supplementary budgets. We should be a country where we have surplus revenue by now. Kenya is billed as one of the most tech-savvy nations south of Sahara. But that tech-savviness is not just by people insulting others on social media. It's not just in the innovation in the private sector. That innovation in the digital space must be seen in our revenue generation within KRA. And I know we have very good officers in KRA. We must not let down the intellect of those young and brilliant officers at KRA. 2 years ago, we recruited a whole cohort of young revenue officers, tech-savvy, good people, but the systems the systems at KRA are not allowing them to exploit their full potential in revenue generation. We must, and I want to challenge, I hope the Chair of Finance Committee is here, because there was an attempt to take away money by one of the committees from KRA, and I think that money has been protected by the Budget Committee, because we do not want KRA to give the excuse that we could not collect money because Parliament took away money from our budget. But that money, Honorable Speaker, where I come from, they say, that is loosely translated to mean that a shilling, you use a shilling, you point a shilling with another shilling. If you want to generate revenue, you must use some money to be able to generate that revenue. And therefore, we have given you in KRA resources to generate revenue. You must generate revenue. Honorable Speaker, the other challenge is the challenge of pending bills. But we stand accused as a House, Honorable Speaker, that many a times we come and reallocate during the supplementary budget resources from votes that had been adequately covered for. We reallocate during the supplementary budget, and therefore we make the ministries and MDAs to incur pending bills, or rather to have pending bills because we have taken away money from them. Again, I must thank the Budget and Appropriations Committee because they have made sure that they protect the MDAs from irrational reallocation of resources. And I must plead with members of our departmental committees, please bear with the Budget and Appropriations Committee this time round on the supplementary budget. Because these things of pending bills, the more we expose the country to pending bills, the more we slow down the growth of our economy, and therefore sabotage the revenue-raising measures that we are talking about and challenge KRA to improve on their revenue-raising. Because the pending bills is money that belongs to traders. that money still goes around and comes back to us in form of taxes. And therefore, we want to ensure that post-passage of this supplementary bill, those MDAs that have pending bills that were pending will have no excuse that Parliament reallocated resources away from votes that had enough money to pay, Honorable Speaker, and therefore there will be no cases of pending bills coming up. Honorable Speaker, the other challenge has been that of collective bargaining agreements. You know from many of our CBA agreements that have fallen due, many of them fell due in the course of this year and others last year, and they needed to be provided for. They have been provided for. You will see, Honorable Speaker, there are issues that are touching on TSC and the committee, and those who have read the report will be able to see about 21 billion going to the Teacher Service Commission towards employer contributions for health insurance to make sure that our teachers are adequately covered for health insurance. There is 15.4 billion that is going to the Higher Education Loans Board to support Higher Education Loans Board and the University Funding Board. Honorable Speaker, I was saying there is 15.4 billion shillings to ensure that all our university students, even as those who graduated from high school last year, prepare to get to university, that there will be adequate resources to ensure that Higher Education Loans Board and the University Funding Board has adequate money to ensure that none of our children miss their chance to join higher education. Honorable Speaker, again, in the health sector, recognizing the importance of the health sector and making sure that SHA is indeed working for everybody, there's an additional 6 billion shillings going towards the Primary Health Care Fund to actualize what we have been telling Kenyans, that the moment you walk into a primary health care facility, a dispensary, a level 1, level 2, and level 3 hospital, if you are registered and a paying member of SHA, you need not pay any bills because this money is being provided for by the government, and through the National Assembly, we have appropriated a further 6 billion shillings that will go towards the Primary Health Care Fund to ensure that we are able to cater for that. There is also a further 5.4 billion going towards payment of health sector interns, our doctor interns who are working for us to ensure that they have enough money for that. Honorable Speaker, the other issues that have been alluded to, those that are going towards the Ministry of Defense in salary adjustments for our armed forces, for their sacrifice and diligence that they put in to defend borders and to make sure that we are all safe, together with the National Intelligence Service that also helps gather intelligence to protect and make our nation safe and ensure that we have an economy that is growing. And of course, that has not, we have also not forgotten our policemen, our men in blue who are also serving us. And we have another 7.5 billion shillings going to the National Police Service to cover the operational needs again, to ensure that even those corners like Meru, Baringo, Tigania, and Igembe, where people have suffered cattle rustling, including Bori in Meru, that we secure these areas and the police have operational.
Your time is up, Majority Leader. Adan Haji is not in the house. Paul Zengu, are you queuing for this? Go ahead.
Honorable Speaker, thank you for giving me this opportunity to contribute to this report by the Budget and Appropriation Committee. Honorable Speaker, as I contribute, I want to congratulate the committee for appropriating money for higher education. I've seen money has been allocated to take care of Moi University and other important education matters. And Honorable Speaker, from the very onset, I want to express my dissatisfaction with the whole process of making budgets. Honorable Speaker, I sit in the committee in charge of water, sanitation, and irrigation. As a departmental committee, trying to understand the ministries, because the state departments and the ministries came to our committee and made submission on critical issues that needed to be addressed. Honorable Speaker, as I speak on this mic, I want to report that the committee is handled by the Budget Committee because we made a clear submission based on the information that we had been given. Was completely futile, and therefore, Mr. Speaker, I want to ask what is the role of Parliament and parliamentary committees in this budget-making process? If we are not our input of budget-making from the committees, because it is, it is worthless to spend a lot of time, discussing these issues, and later they are thrown under the.
There is a point of order from KJ.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like just to know if the honorable member is in order to say that these...
Take your seat, Zengu, when your colleague is on his feet.
Speaker, the place of Parliament in budgeting actually exists in our very cardinal laws in this country, Mr. Speaker. To imagine that this House can be approved is unimaginable, Mr. Speaker. I wanted to know if it is in order for the Honorable Nzengu to propose that budgets can be made elsewhere and Parliament just comes to pass them. Mr. Speaker, I would want you to find him totally and absolutely out of order because the place of budget making for this House is very well protected, Mr. Speaker, and I wish for you to find him totally out of order.
Zengu.
Mr. Speaker, I was expressing our frustrations as a committee. Mr. Speaker, in this final report, it seems like National Treasury has some hidden cards. They bring the budget estimates, then underground they also introduce new monies. For example, in the water sector, there has been introduced over 4 billion shillings that was not appropriated by our committee. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, that is why we're expressing our frustration. And we need to know exactly...
Zengu, another point of order. Yes, Kimani Kuria.
Honorable Chairperson, Honorable Speaker, sorry, is it in order for the honorable member to misinform and to disinform this House deliberately? Because the appropriations that we are debating today is what is contained as per the order paper. So saying that Treasury has some undercuttings that they are going to do later, Honorable Speaker, is asserting improper motive on very credible officials of this particular country, Honorable Speaker. And so the honorable member must withdraw, must apologize, or substantiate those matters that is raising in the floor of this House, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Zengu.
Honorable Speaker.
You are responsible for the accuracy of the statements you make.
Yes, Honorable Speaker, I want to refer whoever is concerned on the report, that schedule, where severally it has been reported that, like, for example, there is voted 11-0-040 up to 09, there are several monies that have been brought from Treasury, and it is written, for example, I can read one of them, increase Kenya shillings, 805 million shilling development for critical water projects, National Treasury and NENDAM. That is money that came directly from the National Treasury without passing through our committee, and therefore we are asking, Mr. Speaker, sir, what is our role in this budget making? Because if the Treasury is introducing money that has not passed through the departmental committee, then it means that we have no role. That is what I'm saying, Mr. Speaker, because it is...
Yes,
Honorable Speaker, the Honorable Nzengu is trying to be intelligent in his defense. Because the National Treasury, it's not the first time the National Treasury is sending addendum to the estimates that they table before the House. When I tabled these supplementary estimates, indeed there was an addendum attached to that supplementary estimates that were considered by the committees in committee. But that does not mean that the National Treasury, as the holders of the purse, from the executive cannot introduce, because as I said, there will be emerging issues that will come up. And they come up through the National Treasury and they are accommodated through the very powerful committee. And I said the Budget and Appropriations Committee, in line with our own standing orders. That is why under Article 114 of the Constitution, I cannot, as an ordinary member, introduce an amendment to the budget report without reference to the National Treasury. Therefore, it is not right to misinform the country that the National Treasury is doing anything underhand. There is nothing underhand in the National Treasury introducing addendum. It would only be underhand if there was no addendum that was brought before the Budget and Appropriations Committee. It does not mean that a departmental committee is the only committee in Parliament. The Budget and Appropriations Committee is not a committee of this House. The Budget and Appropriations Committee is a committee of this House. And Honorable Nzengu, I'm saying, is trying to be intelligent in how he answers the question, because he has been here, he knows it, and you know what I know, and you know I know what you know.
With all due respect to the majority leader,
yes,
my question is very clear, Honorable Speaker. 800 million has been introduced. It is not itemized. It is a bulk amount of money. It is just referred to, just money somewhere going to a pool. How can we be so sure? Because why do we then have ministries and State Department coming to our departmental committees and not having the Budget and Appropriation Committee dealing with all the ministries so that we don't have to spend energy and time? My complaint is that we spend time, but all that we think and recommend is not at all considered, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, when the chairman was
moving...
You
want information from Kimani?
I don't mind information.
Give him information.
So a point of information, Honorable Speaker, I think we usually get confused at times as departmental committees, because the reports that are tabled by a departmental committee in this House only informs debate in this House. And discussions on supplementary budget 1 would proceed whether there was or not a report by the departmental committee. So the one processing this particular discussion is the Budget and Appropriations Committee, and therefore their recommendations take precedence. Honorable Speaker, on several occasions, like the Committee of Finance and National Planning, have made recommendations to this House that have been ignored or vetoed by the House. And that is why Parliament is a debate house, is a budget-making house. And therefore, there is nothing that will stop even the Honorable Nzengu by bringing an amendment to this floor on this supplementary, and this House would make a decision on that particular matter, Honorable Speaker. I beg to inform my good Honorable Member, Honorable Nzengu.
Nzengu,
thank you. I've been informed appropriately, but Honorable Speaker, I will still continue and make my submission as I had planned. Honorable Speaker, I was saying that when Honorable Atandi, the chair, was moving, he also did mention that there is money that has been appropriated for Thwake Dam. I want also to report that rather than like adding money to the project Thwake Dam, there has been a serious reduction of money, and Thwake Dam is now frustrated. I think the money that is allocated now is about 433 million, against a lot of money that is owed in terms of pending bills, and the money that is required to progress the Thwake Dam to completion is several billions. So I want to say that I don't know whether the chair was deliberately trying to make it look like the whole country is covered. From where I sit, I think this budget exercise is one of the most skewed. It does not show the face of Kenya, because I think money is just being appropriated in certain regions. And Honorable Speaker, I am going to be writing a report on exactly how much money has been appropriated for which region, and I'll make it known to this country that this Parliament has been involved in also perpetuating skill development in this country. I submit, Chair. Speaker.
Honorable Mayaka.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to also give my contribution and support the supplementary estimates. that have been tabled before us by the Chair of Budget. Honorable Speaker, from the onset, I just want to agree with the Speaker when he says that we salute and acknowledge the fact that the Chair for Budget was actually very consultative in terms of ensuring and looking at allocations and what is going to different parts of this country. And so I want to really congratulate my brother, the Chair of Budget. Honorable Speaker, just looking at the expenditure highlights that have been communicated. First of all, we do have a budget increase of about 2.75% that is going into different areas. And the specific sectors that have this allocation are actually the sectors that are very key and fundamental to this country. One of them being the education sector, which is a top fund. I've seen allocation increment in terms of school feeding programs and what we call the special fortified porridge. I've seen allocation to different areas in terms of tertiary education. Honorable Speaker, there's been an increase in allocation on the natural security, on health and agriculture. And for me, Honorable